He gave his life to love his enemies, the true story of Jim Elliot. 5 men flew deep into the jungle to meet a tribe known for killing outsiders. They never came back alive, but their story didn't end with their deaths. It began there. Jim Elliot was 21 years old when he first felt it. That pull. That whisper. That unshakable knowing that his life wasn't his own. While his classmates at Wheaton College dreamed of careers, comfort, the American dream, Jim dreamed of something else entirely. He sat in his dorm room one night and wrote words in his journal that would one day echo across the world. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep, to gain what he cannot lose. He meant it. Not as poetry. Not as inspiration for a poster. As the blueprint for his life. He believed that following Jesus meant everything. Holding nothing back. Surrendering it all. Even if it meant losing his life. After college, Jim joined a small group of missionaries called to Ecuador, a nation of rainforests and rivers and tribes still untouched by the outside world. Among them was the Waodani. A fierce, isolated people. Known for their violence. Feared by neighboring tribes. They killed outsiders on sight. Sometimes killed each other. Lived by the spear and expected to die by it. Most people avoided them. Jim wanted to reach them. Because he didn't see killers. He saw souls. Not enemies, but people God loved. People Jesus died for. The journey into the jungle. Jim married Elisabeth Howard, a woman whose faith burned as bright as his own. Together, they journeyed to Ecuador. Left behind everything familiar. Everything safe. They built friendships with local tribes. Learned languages. Studied the culture of the Waodani from a distance. For months, Jim and 4 fellow missionaries prepared for contact. Nate Saint, a pilot with a heart for the unreached. Ed McCauley, a former law student who traded courtrooms for the mission field. Pete Fleming, a scholar who believed the gospel was worth more than any degree. Roger Udarian, a paratrooper turned missionary, fearless and faithful. They used Nate's small yellow airplane to fly over Waodani territory. Week after week, they circled above the jungle canopy, lowering gifts on a rope, clothing, food, machetes, photographs of themselves smiling. Trying to say without words, "We come in peace. We mean you no harm." And slowly, miraculously, the tribe began responding. They sent gifts back. Carved wooden items. Feathers. Fruit. Hope was rising. It seemed like a bridge was being built between 2 worlds that had never known each other. Finally, on January 3, 1956, they made the decision. It was time. They landed Nate's small plane on a sandbar along the Corrie River, a spot they named Bomb Beach. They set up camp. Strung a hammock between trees. Made a fire. Sang hymns in the humid air. And they waited. Praying. Believing. Trusting that God had brought them this far for a reason. After years of preparation, after months of prayer, after a lifetime of surrender, they were finally face to face with the people they had come to love. The encounter, January 8, 1956. At first, it was peaceful. Several Waodani approached the camp. Cautious. Curious. The missionaries smiled. Offered food. Gifts. Tried to communicate with gestures and broken words. There was laughter. Connection. Something that felt like the beginning of hope. But the next day, something shifted. A misunderstanding. A miscommunication. Fear where there should have been trust. No one knows exactly what went wrong. But suddenly, shouting. Then spears. The jungle erupted with violence. Jim and his 4 friends had guns. They could have defended themselves. But they had made a decision long before they ever set foot in that jungle. If it came down to it, they would rather die than kill. Because these people, even if they didn't know it yet, were their brothers. And you don't kill your brothers, even if they're trying to kill you. All 5 men were killed that day. Speared to death beside the river they had prayed over. Beside the sandbar where they had sung hymns just hours before. Their bodies were found later, downstream. Pierced. Broken. Still. They were young, husbands, fathers, sons, men who traded comfort for calling, and their lives for love. News of their deaths spread across the world. Some called them foolish. Reckless. Said they threw their lives away for nothing. Others called them heroes. Martyrs. Said they gave their lives for the greatest cause there is. But Elisabeth Elliot, Jim's young widow, now alone with a 10-month-old daughter, called it something else. Unfinished. The aftermath, the miracle that followed. Months passed. The world mourned. The church prayed. Families grieved. But something was stirring in Elisabeth's heart. A question. A calling. A whisper she couldn't ignore. What if their deaths weren't the end? What if this was just the beginning? So she did the unthinkable. Elisabeth Elliot and Rachel Saint, Nate's sister, returned to the jungle. To the same tribe. The same people who had killed their loved ones. Not with weapons. Not with anger. Not with demands for justice. But with forgiveness. The Waodani welcomed them cautiously at first. These women didn't bring soldiers or revenge. They brought peace. They lived among the tribe. Learned their language. Ate their food. Slept in their homes. And slowly, carefully, they told them about Jesus. Not as an abstract idea. Not as a foreign religion. But as the God who forgives even those who kill. The God who loves even his enemies. The God who died so that the lost could become sons. And something extraordinary happened. Hearts began to open. The very men who had driven the spears into Jim and his friends, the men whose hands were stained with their blood, began to listen, to weep, to believe. One by one, they came to faith in Christ. They were baptized in the same river that had once run red with the blood of the missionaries. The water that had carried death now carried new life. One of them was a man named Minke. He had been there that day, had held a spear, had participated in the killing. But now, he was a follower of Jesus, a leader in the Waodani church. And years later, he would meet Steve Saint, Nate's son, the boy who had lost his father that day. Minke looked at Steve with tears in his eyes and said, "I killed your father. But now, you are my son." And Steve embraced him, called him grandfather, forgave him completely. It was forgiveness made visible. The gospel not just preached, but lived. Proof that nothing, not even murder, is beyond the reach of God's grace. Legacy of a Martyr. Jim Elliot's story did not end in the jungle. His journal was found after his death. Waterlogged, blood-stained, but intact. Filled with prayers and reflections and a faith so raw, so real, that it would ignite a generation. Elisabeth published his writings, wrote their story in Through Gates of Splendor, a book that would reach millions. It became a film, a movement, a catalyst for countless missionaries who read Jim's words and said, "I want to live like that. I want to love like that. I want to give everything like that." Jim had once written, "When it comes time to die, make sure that all you have to do is die." He had lived every word. He had nothing left to settle. No regrets. No unfinished business. When his time came, he was ready. Because he had already surrendered everything. And because of his obedience, because of his sacrifice, an entire tribe was transformed. The Waodani, once known for violence, became known for peace. Children of those first believers now lead churches deep in the jungle. The sound of hymns now rises where the sound of war once echoed. Baptisms happen in the river where blood once flowed. Jim's death was not wasted. It was seed planted in soil that looked barren but was waiting to bloom. And the harvest is still coming in. Jim Elliot's story isn't about loss. It's about love that refused to hate. Faith that refused to fear. Forgiveness that refused to end with death. He believed that no sacrifice is ever wasted when it's given to God. And his life, and his death, proved it true. Jim Elliot's blood didn't silence the gospel. It amplified it, across nations, across generations, across hearts that still hear his echo today. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. John 15:13. Jim Elliot laid down his life. Not just for his friends, but for his enemies. And in doing so, he showed the world what Jesus looks like. So here's the question his story leaves us with. What are we holding on to that God is asking us to surrender? What comfort are we clinging to that He's calling us to release? What are we keeping that we cannot keep when we could gain what we cannot lose? Comment below, I want to love like that. Because real faith doesn't just survive. It gives. It forgives. It lives forever. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Mustard Seed Stories, where every week, we share true stories of pain, healing, and grace.